forward and back.
Okay.
So you need to hit forward on that.
It should all be in order.
It should be in order, not to work. You ready to go? Hello, everyone. Hello and welcome to the Bio-Entrepreneurship Corps' kickoff event for 2012-2013. I'm Hugh Bender. I'm the president of the Corps this academic year. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the BEC, this is perhaps your first event. We are a multidisciplinary student-run organization open to all WashU faculty, students, postdocs, anyone with WashU affiliations. We organize a variety of events throughout the year. They're aimed at educating the WashU community on the resources available to entrepreneurs in the community and at the university, and I think tonight's event will give you a good idea of what we typically do over the course of the year. We seek to foster collaboration between those of us on the medical school campus with our colleagues in the business school and the law school over on the Danforth campus. If you are interested in learning any more about our group, please find one of the officers. We have slightly different name tags that are turquoise instead of black. Our speakers have black name tags. Today we have what promises to be our largest kickoff event to date. We're thrilled to have Chancellor Wrighton with us this afternoon. He's going to speak about the environment for innovation and entrepreneurship at WashU. Following his remarks, we'll have a short resource bounce. I'm sure a lot of you read about that on our page. It's going to be featuring many WashU and community resources for entrepreneurs. We have 10 great speakers that are sitting down here in front of me. And they're going to give about a 90-second to 2-minute pitch about what they do, and hopefully you can network with them at the happy hour after. Many of you are already familiar with Chancellor Wrighton. He's a familiar face around the university. He has a research background in chemistry with a principal interest in solar energy conversion. His work has culminated in more than 300 published papers and 14 patents to his name, and I noticed that was a couple years old, so I'm sure there are quite a few more since then. I'd like you all to join me now in welcoming Chancellor Wrighton.
Thanks very much, Hugh, and thanks for your leadership and that of your colleagues. It's great to be here this afternoon. I do have to tell you, though, that I haven't, in point of fact, added more patents or even meaningful publications to my curriculum vitae since arriving at Washington University now more than 17 years ago. So I'm a has-been chemist. But I'm very excited about the prospects for innovation and entrepreneurship at Washington University. And indeed, this has been a very interesting era for me because a little over a year ago, we completed a study, I guess now 2 years ago, a study for the National Research Council on managing universities' intellectual property in the public interest. And through that study, I learned a great deal about what was taking place, what is taking place around the United States and in some ways around the world. We at Washington University have an exceptional opportunity as we look ahead because I sense in the greater St. Louis community also a great interest in innovation and entrepreneurship. And while I value greatly the knowledge creation associated with a great research enterprise like that which we have here, we also are beginning to see that there are enormous opportunities in applying the new knowledge that we create and bringing benefit to society very rapidly. And indeed, our overarching objective in connection with our encouraging and supporting and celebrating innovation and entrepreneurship related to our research enterprise is to, as rapidly as possible, bring the benefits of what we learn to society at large. We are not a public institution by the strict definition of the phrase public institution. We're a private institution. And in practical terms, what that means is that we are not directly governed by any entity like the state legislature or the federal government. But I think you'll appreciate that the largest single sponsor at Washington University in terms of research does in fact involve the federal government. This is a very large investment. We compete for it. We compete for it because we have very talented people who have great ideas. They present them for consideration. And in proposals to government agencies, we're very well rewarded with great research support. Our responsibility as an institution includes bringing as much benefit as possible, and I would argue as rapidly as possible, to the public who support us. So in this sense, we have public responsibilities, and I'm hoping that in the era ahead that we can be more proactive and more engaged in innovation and entrepreneurship that brings practical consequence that I expect will bring benefit to our community. We're on the campus of one of the greatest schools of medicine in the world. And I say frequently in settings where people are wondering, what's the value of research universities? You don't have to go very far from where you're seated to see miracles taking place on a continuous basis in many areas of medicine. Washington University School of Medicine is not only a great institution from the standpoint of education, working with some of the most talented people in the world, but we're a great institution in terms of applying medical science to bring benefit to patients. You may not appreciate this, but the clinical enterprise associated with Washington University School of Medicine is one of the largest academic health centers in the United States. And it's also regarded as one of the highest in quality. And I believe it's the strong research tradition of Washington University, large and strong, that makes this, together with our clinical enterprise, an exceptionally great opportunity as we look ahead. And already we see enormous benefit from what's taken place here at Washington University. We're looking ahead now to a new era at Washington University. I see enormous success behind us. You see just across the way the Maya Lin Plaza and the BJC Institute of Health here at the Medical Center campus. And that physical development is stunning. It's huge and has provided great research space. And we're fortunate that we have a very strong partner in BJC Healthcare and the teaching hospitals located on this campus. As great as these successes are, I think everybody in this room appreciates the challenges that we face not only in our country but around the world. And yet I see a tremendous prospect for great contributions from research. And inasmuch as we have a very large medical school, this would appear to be a lead opportunity. But at the same time, on the Danforth campus of this university, we have strong science and strong engineering and great opportunities in those departments on the Danforth campus. So it's not only medical research that's going to make a difference, but also important research in the physical and natural sciences and in engineering. What are the essential elements for a great contribution from research? One is, first of all, that you have strong research, and I think it's also important that we do this at significant scale. If I tell you how much money we've spent over the last 10 years, it adds up to a lot. Looking ahead, and assuming that we can overcome all the constraints from the federal government and we remain competitive with our grant applications, we're probably going to spend more than $5 billion. $5 billion, most of that coming from the National Institutes of Health, according to the current complexion of the makeup of our grant support. Billions of dollars in the next decade. From that, one would expect enormous consequence. But in addition to the strong research, we're going to have talented people. People like those in this room, and I would say, compared to those in this room, a multiple of what's represented here. The total employment at Washington University, by the way, is about 13,000 people. We have only about 12,000 students. When I mention that to parents of undergraduates, they say, aha, now I know why you're so expensive. But a great many of the members of the Washington University team are either involved in research or clinical care here on the Medical Center campus. So there's a large body of talented people who are engaged in the research enterprise. Faculty are regarded as the research leaders, those who are battling to win grant support with their good ideas. And as a former research mentor myself, I know that a great fraction of the work is done by those colleagues at all levels in the academic enterprise, from undergraduates to postdocs, people who have great experiences already in research. So we need these two. We need strong research and we need talented people. But I would think that as you consider the opportunities, we also have to create an environment where innovation and entrepreneurship will be celebrated. We have great contributions we can point to in the past. It's the case, however, that people are asking, can we pick up the pace? And they're not just asking us, they are asking the higher education, research university world in total. What can you do to help us move the economy forward? I've reflected a lot on this, not only from the study that I've done, but also in thinking about the future of the university, and also it comes to a single individual as you think about the future. You get to be my age, in your early 60s, you'll be thinking, are the young people going to be sufficiently innovative that there is a growth in the economy? And we know that a lot of the growth is going to come from investment in research, and if we're not going to be innovative and entrepreneurial, then we're not going to have that brighter future for older Americans like me who are going to depend on investment income as I retire. So we're going to have to work hard in the era ahead. And the Board of Trustees completed a planning process now a little over 3 years ago. And this is the overarching goal that the Board of Trustees has embraced: to enhance our leadership today to benefit America and the world tomorrow. A lofty statement. What does it mean? Well, here are the 4 pillars that we're going to be investing in as we think about realizing this ambition to enhance our leadership today to benefit America and the world tomorrow. We know that we're a great educational institution. We're working with the most talented young men and women as students, and our responsibility is to prepare them to be the next generation of leaders. From this university, we can point to people who have gone on to very high levels of leadership in the business world, a large number of chief executive officers, people who have gone on in government to senatorial positions, to cabinet level positions, members of the House of Representatives, so in public service. And in fundamental science, we also see achievement at the very highest levels. Leaders, individuals who've gone on, for example, to win the Nobel Prize in medicine. We also have the important and compelling mission here to advance human health. Now, we're on the Medical Center campus, but advancing human health will also take advantage of great contributions in departments on the Danforth campus, including psychology. We do have a strong Department of Biology on the Danforth campus as well, We have biomedical engineering, and we have a very strong School of Social Work. And one of the lead initiatives of this era is the development of our Institute for Public Health. Here, we already have a major presence. And one of the things that I strongly believe is that we have to apply strength on strength. So as we look ahead, I want to ensure that we remain strong in this area. More broadly, we want to contribute to enhancing the quality of life. That will mean contributing to economic prosperity on the one hand, and on another, making sure that we are at the forefront in advancing our culture through the creative arts, the performing arts, original writing. I've heard that we have great opportunities in this arena, and in comparison to laboratory work, which I'm very familiar with, it's often a little less expensive to be involved in original scholarship in some of these areas. But a university has this as a responsibility, and in our community, the contributions of the university are very well felt, and through the work of our alumni and our faculty, and current students even, we're making impact all around the world. But the fourth pillar, and the subject of this session, is that we need to inspire innovation and entrepreneurship. And you're going to be hearing us talk a lot about this and encouraging and supporting work in this area. Already, we have the Skandalaris Center for Entrepreneurial Studies. This is under the leadership of Ken Harrington. You'll hear 90 seconds from him, I understand a little bit. We're investing as the largest institutional investor in the Cortex region. This has represented for Washington University a great financial investment, and one that I see under the leadership of Dennis Lauer picking up the pace. You'll see much more activity in this region, originally just defined as a geographical region where we would encourage the development of new enterprises based on the life sciences. The region is bounded on the west by the Washington University Medical Center, on the east by St. Louis University, roughly on the north by the north side of Forest Park Parkway, and to the south, roughly speaking, the Missouri Botanical Garden. BJC Healthcare has committed to building an office building, and we are angling to develop a new Metrolink stop. We already have one new building built, and we are encouraging investment from partners around the country to help us build up this region, which will be a center of entrepreneurial activity. Some among you may know about BioSTL. BioSTL is an endeavor where we and BJC and community leaders have made a very substantial investment that will encourage and support the development of new enterprises in the life sciences based both on advancing human health and in the plant science area. The BioGenerator is a key element of that undertaking. We're also going to be expanding our commitment to the Vice Chancellor for Research, Evan Karish, who's right up here. We're taking steps to implement recommendations that he's made to me, and this will include expanding the professional team that will be proactive in seeking out opportunities to move our research to development and ultimately commercialization. We do need to continue to expand our ecosystem. We need to expand the depth and breadth of our culture. You know that cultures change slowly, but culture change at universities can be brought about by very talented people who are coming forward with innovative ideas and are entrepreneurs. And oh, by the way, occasionally it takes a little money, and more money in this arena will be better. But through generous philanthropic support, we've expanded significantly the Skandalaris impact through a summer internship program for undergraduates. The School of Engineering, under the leadership of Ralph Quatrano and his National Advisory Council, have developed a competition based on new ideas that will hopefully yield ideas that emerge as new enterprises. The Arch Grants Program not a part of Washington University, but I'm proud to have seen that of the 15 first awardees, many have been associated with Washington University in one way or another. And finally, in terms of expanding the ecosystem here, Innovate St. Louis is thriving. Bill Peck has been a great leader in this regard, former dean of the School of Medicine, and we have a venture mentoring service there that has been extraordinarily successful. So we're doing some things. These are areas or examples where we've expanded and where we're going to have to continue to work to build the infrastructure here. And in recent times, we've been rewarded with some great success from research being done here. In mid-July, I awakened on a Sunday morning and opened my New York Times, and I saw a front page above the fold story about Washington University and our work in cancer genomics, work that was done by Tim Lay and collaborators here on the Medical Center campus. The work stems from being able to do the complete human genome sequence relatively rapidly and relatively inexpensively, and this has led to a highly innovative initiative from our Department of Genetics and the Department of Pathology and Immunology, the so-called GPS initiative, GPS at WUSTL, if you want to take a look at it. This is a service now being provided to physicians who are treating patients with cancer. It's also very exciting to see the tremendous work being done here on Alzheimer's disease with new diagnostic methodology developed by Randall Bateman and David Holtzman. We're involved with this DIAN network, the Dominantly Inherited Alzheimer's Network. This DIAN initiative will enable us to, in collaboration with pharmaceutical companies, test the efficacy of pharmaceuticals that might prevent the onset of Alzheimer's. I mentioned just these two examples because, well, over the last decade or so in the area of cancer, initially with the stimulation provided by former Dean Bill Peck, we formed the Alvin J. Siteman Cancer Center. And that cancer center is today, I believe, the third largest cancer center in the United States in terms of treating new patients. It's also a so-called comprehensive cancer center, so designated by the National Cancer Institute. Dr. Tim Eberlein has done a fabulous job in developing this, and I think you can appreciate that, and certainly if you yourself live long enough, you're probably going to struggle with this yourself, certainly with a family member or a friend, and we know we can make great progress, as that New York Times article showed. And I think it's the kind of innovative research that Dr. Tim Lay proposed that is going to contribute to making a huge difference in this area of cancer. And it's very important because it is such a large health challenge. Alzheimer's, if we cure cancer and deal with cardiovascular disease and obesity and diabetes and all the things that we're working on, Alzheimer's appears to be a pretty tough nut. This is going to be, it is argued, one of the greatest challenges as we look ahead and encountering not only a growing population around the world, but an aging population. This is not a US unique challenge. So here are two areas where innovative research and, I believe, a degree of entrepreneurship will help us move things along very rapidly. And the practical consequence should be obvious. Making progress on Alzheimer's and coming up with ways, maybe not to cure cancer, but to manage and to allow people to live longer and productive lives, I think is going to be a tremendous contribution. So these are just two examples of areas where I already see evidence of innovation and entrepreneurship with great practical consequence. What are our future plans? We're going to continue to invest in expanding the dimension, the scale of our research enterprise. We have plans on the Danforth campus, for example, to build out on the surface parking lot a more comprehensive School of Engineering, a larger School of Engineering. Larger scale, I believe, in this arena will be very rewarding. On this campus, we'll be expanding so-called preclinical research programs, the basic biomedical sciences. And we know that in order to do this, we need to provide more in the way of graduate fellowships for the PhD students. We're going to continue to support the development of life sciences-based companies through BioSTL. It's early days in that undertaking, but we already see some very promising companies coming, not only from Washington University, but from other institutions in the region. We need to continue to invest in this ecosystem, and there we see additional opportunities. It will take additional resources, but we found a very generous community, and we find many people who've been successful as innovators and entrepreneurs who want to help us build the system here. And finally, I think we need to do a better job of recognizing and celebrating success in this arena. You'll see more about this in the Washington University Magazine. We'll be more proactive in celebrating the successes as people bring what they do to practical consequence. So we have an exciting era ahead, and we're looking to more rapidly move what we do to benefit society. By doing that, I believe we will be able to more rapidly realize our overarching goal of enhancing our leadership today to benefit America and the world tomorrow. I'd be happy to take a few questions, and I'll be able to stay for a while to hear the 90-second resource updates. Thanks very much. Questions? Yes?
I was curious what the intellectual property rules are for things that are developed in the lab. What, did the researchers get a share? Did they get the patent? How does that all work?
Roughly speaking, if a researcher at Washington University has a development that is protected, say a patent, and that patent is licensed and there's revenue, the researcher shares significantly in the financial element. Roughly a third goes to the inventor. And that's fairly typical of research universities. And as at many other places, faculty members here have the opportunity to be engaged in outside professional activities 1 day per week. So an active faculty member who might become involved in either a startup or a mature corporation in terms of moving things from here into an organization like that could spend a fair amount of time at it. And while we care about the time commitment, if they can bring down a $500 million consulting fee, that's their money. We just hope they'll think positively, philanthropically down the road. Other questions? Yes, sir.
So most tech transfer offices actually either break even or cost the university money. And so I was curious, what are the metrics by which we should measure success from licensing agreements, tech transfer, and that sort of thing?
There are a lot of measures, and perhaps the easiest one is to look at how much money comes in, and I'd be lying to you if I didn't look at that. It's a balance. We don't say our top objective is to make money. It is not. But as one former dean said, we're not for profit, but we're also not for loss. And so we have to balance how much we can invest of unrestricted money to encourage the development of new enterprises that may in fact be commercial successes. But revenue is a measure. Employment from university-based startups is another measure. And in connection with my NRC work, we heard a very interesting report from my former institution, MIT, work funded by the Kaufman Foundation. And MIT is credited with creating a huge number of jobs, but it's not MIT so much. They have a very effective technology transfer office, as we do under the leadership of Dr. Brad Castanho, but the preponderance of the job creation benefit comes from the work of MIT alumni. Northern California is well populated with MIT alumni who've done great and significant things. In fact, I'm proud to tell you that a chemistry undergraduate alum was one of the founders of Genentech, one of the early and most successful biotechnology companies. So jobs creation would be another great measure. In short term, one of the measures I'd like to look to is satisfaction of the research community with the services that we provide in the tech transfer office. Are we seeing your good deal flow, and not necessarily companies, but are we seeing the talented faculty come forward with good ideas and they feel that they are being well received and handled efficiently and rapidly so that we move what is being created into the hands of people who know something about what to do with it. So those are the three things that I would point to. Money's important. I wish we had a blockbuster like Northwestern had with Lyrica, or that Emory had with its AIDS pharmaceutical. But we can't manage the university by saying, well, in 3 years, miracle occurs, blockbuster unfolds, and $700 million is at my doorstep. I wish it would happen. My dream is to spawn the development of operating companies, companies that provide goods and services that stem from innovative people. And you can be an innovator but not an entrepreneur. You may have the best ideas, and maybe somebody's going to be actually reading the papers you write and making something of it. That's not bad either. Yes, sir.
You mentioned two core areas of strength. Are there some others besides cancer and Alzheimer's that you'd like to mention?
The great thing about Washington University is that it is a comprehensive medical school. And so we have a very wide range of exciting things. On the Danforth campus, though our research enterprise is smaller, we also have some very talented people. And we have a full department in engineering that's biological, but there are other departments where interesting things have unfolded. The IT area is one that can yield practical consequence, as you doubtless would be aware. You may not even need a computer science degree. I don't think Harvard has computer science, if I'm not mistaken, but they probably have benefited from the work of those who founded Facebook. And so in those areas, things can occur rapidly. But if you look at the departments of just the School of Medicine, we have a very large number of departments that are in the top handful or top 10 in the United States, and it's still the case. As much as people, moan about how things are here, it's still the case that great medical schools like ours roughly define the world in terms of quality. So we can do a lot in many areas. If you are a student or a postdoc, I also would point out the following. In advancing your career, if you can create a new field of endeavor that is significant, you will be on your way. Your trajectory will be steeply rising. I might mention the microbiome work that's being done here under the leadership, among others, Jeff Gordon. But that is an extremely promising area. Obviously builds on great strengths here that others have contributed to, but creating a new field of endeavor that turns out to have great practical consequence. You're on your way as a junior faculty member or a graduate student or postdoc. Even undergraduates can make important contributions in this regard. So don't just think of, looking in the areas that are already heavily populated by the most talented people. Create a new area that will attract others. Yes?
Given that, that you're saying that we should go toward new endeavors, and yet here at WashU we're building centers for cancer, for Alzheimer's, things that are sort of very hot topic for the day, doesn't it seem a little bit worrisome, especially for graduate students, that everybody that's flooding here is focused on these sole areas? I don't know how WashU plans are going about going towards, say, like more rare diseases and more basic science.
I think that's are you a graduate student yourself? I think that's a very good question, and not one that's easily answered in this era where large programs are going into the large program support goes into the big centers. That's going to be a challenge for us because it does become more difficult for the single individual to make a big difference. In my field of chemistry, I believe that PhD education needs to be changed somewhat. Companies are saying, the newly minted PhDs are not job ready. So the companies want something that's a little different. And I believe that one of the challenges is that we need to make sure that people are ready for their next job, but also have a very deep research experience. I would like to see, and this is why I'm promoting the notion of developing more graduate fellowships, the students should be awarded more fellowships so that the most innovative students can say, well, here's an assistant professor, a relatively new person on the faculty who's really doing exciting things, and I can bring my fellowship support and be a part of that group. And I think that can stimulate the development of new areas of inquiry. And I've seen that happen at this institution and see it at other places. But we need to have mechanisms to provide the support for the students themselves. But it's, everybody sees it as a constrained financial circumstance. And so philanthropy is something we depend on, and I hope that that will be expanded to include more support for graduate students. I think I'm being pulled off the podium. So thanks very much.
Let's all thank Chancellor Wrighton again for being here. Hi, I'm Dana. I'm the secretary of the BEC. Hopefully the Chancellor's remarks have inspired your entrepreneurial spirit and have reminded you that all scientific innovations have small beginnings. Being a student or faculty member at WashU does not preclude you from the commercial world. Indeed, it can connect you more completely to it. It is in this spirit that we proudly present our speakers of the Resource Bounce. Resource Bounce is a novel presentation series this year meant to highlight entrepreneurial resources available to WashU students and faculty. We have selected several programs and facilities from WashU and the surrounding St. Louis community that can be an asset to scientists at any stage of the entrepreneurial process. Our speakers will introduce their respective organizations in short format here and will be available for any questions you have after the event. We therefore ask that you hold all questions until after the event. We will begin with our generous sponsor for the event, the Skandalaris Center.
Thanks, everybody. Okay, bouncers, we've got 90 seconds. And what, Danny, you said you'd hold up your hand when there's 15 seconds left, right? My name is Ken Harrington. I'm with the Skandalaris Center. How many of you have been to a Skandalaris Center event? Okay, so I don't need to give too much detail. As you may know, we're a cross-campus entrepreneurship program. We report directly to the Chancellor, so we serve all schools equally. Our goal is to connect students from each of the schools to each other and to interested faculty so that you can get progress on your ideas. Our second goal is to provide an interesting doorway to the community, so we have many partners in the community that we hand things off to. Our specialty is to encourage ideas, develop entrepreneurs, have them form into teams, and then hand them off to a lot of the people that you'll hear from today. So we see our role as being the people that you might want to talk to at the very early idea stage. There are over 80 courses in entrepreneurship at WashU, so there's significant curriculum you could participate in. But there are also a number of co-curricular programs. We have competitions. This year we'll give out between $250,000 and $300,000 a year to early stage ideas. Most importantly, we have a signature program, Idea Bounce. Idea Bounce will be going on with the BEC and we'll be running a training session, so talk to us about that later. So I'm getting the 15-minute hook. Faculty, our Skandalaris Center staff here. Who's here? Rosemary's over there. Emily's up there. See them at the reception. And I'll hand it off to the rest of the community because I think if we all know about them, we'll be more entrepreneurial.
My name's Brad Castanho. I'm the director of the Tech Transfer Office. I think most of you are pretty familiar with the role that Tech Transfer plays at WashU. We're responsible for the management and the licensing and the commercialization of the intellectual property that is a result of the research, both at a faculty, a student, and a postdoc level. There are several people here from WashU, from the OTM office. Hopefully you can mingle with them and ask specific questions about the Tech Transfer Office, our metrics, and various other activities of the office. But specifically, I want to talk about several initiatives that we've launched in the last several years. Fast Track is a program we've had for 5 years. This is a faculty-focused opportunity to train faculty in how to start a company, what it means to start a company. We are now going to expand that to graduate students and to postdocs as well. So we're moving in the direction of trying to bring that information to our students and to our postdocs. Another important opportunity we have is what we talk about is the technology commercialization seminars. This is a series of seminars we give 4 to 5 times a year. They're widely communicated, and we think this provides you insight into the commercialization process, how to access SBIR money, and so on and so forth. And the last program is our OTM Tech Transfer Training. This is a program designed for students and postdocs to learn what it means to work in tech transfer and to look for maybe an alternate career to the more traditional faculty career that you might be interested in. Thanks for your time. If you have any questions, like I said, there's several people here from OTM, and we look forward to talking to you.
Good evening. I'm Eric Gulve. I'm president of BioGenerator. BioGenerator is a nonprofit organization that was formed in 2003 to accelerate the formation of life science startups, specifically here in the St. Louis region. So we have a regional mission. We're an investor, but we also support economic development. We invest in early stage companies that have commercially oriented technology to enable those companies to gain proof of concept and risk reduction. So follow-on investors in the for-profit space, like Brian over here, would be interested in our companies. So we have 33 companies in our portfolio at this point in time. We've had a tremendous shift in our orientation in the last couple of years, 25 investments in the last 2 years. We're really focused on driving startups, planting deep roots in the community, building strong companies, and helping those companies attract the follow-on funding that's essential to enable them to grow. So what kinds of services do we provide? Advice and mentoring. We spend lots of time with companies well before we decide whether or not we're going to make an investment, and we continue that after we make an investment. We have a dual role. We advise companies and we invest in them. We're doing due diligence at the same time we're trying to shape the creation of that company. We help build teams within companies. We do very early stage investments. We have a very unique laboratory facility outfitted with capital equipment. We have connections to local incubators, and we assist with business and technical planning for these companies. And one thing I'd like to mention is the newest program we have at BioGenerator is an Entrepreneur in Residence program that we started last fall. I'd like to introduce Vijay Chauhan. Vijay is one of 5 entrepreneurs in residence on our staff today. He's a great example of what this program is aiming to become. He's been here 10 weeks. He's working with 10 companies today, helping them shape their business and technical plans. So the last thing I'll mention is that we have internships. We had 2 interns in our office last summer. So if any of you have had some experience in this sector and would like to learn more, please feel free to follow up with us. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Barb Enneking. I'm Vice President at the Center for Emerging Technologies. And the Center for Emerging Technologies is a not-for-profit organization. We're at an incubator accelerator facility located right down the street on Forest Park Avenue, located in the Cortex district, and we're also affiliated with the Cortex Enterprise. The Center for Emerging Technologies operates in a 92,000 square foot facility. We have wet labs, dry labs, production facilities, and small offices. We also provide conference rooms and other amenities. Our companies at the center, we've helped over 47 companies. We have 23 current tenants. They've been involved with therapeutics, diagnostics, medical devices. They've been working in the areas of cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, heart disease. We also provide a range of services, business services, technical services, financial support services, and a number of training programs, seminars in such areas as business planning, valuation, IP. Also, we provide a 2-day SBIR conference every year where we bring in the federal program officers. And so I'd like to talk about one of our newest initiatives, which is the Bio Entrepreneur Development Program. And we have here today the manager and the director of that program, John McAlister.
Hello, I'm John McAlister. I have the privilege of working in the area of the Bio Entrepreneur Development Program, a program that was started approximately a year and a half ago by the people at the Center for Emerging Technologies, Marcia Mellitz, Barb Enneking, and its first director, Harley Sorkin. The program is designed to help scientists or other technologists with great ideas become entrepreneurs by informing them about the fundamentals of business, certainly not to make them an MBA by the time they graduate this program, but at least to give them the idea of what can be brought to bear, what the resources are, where the resources are, and to learn the vocabulary of being in a business environment. And we've brought approximately 50 companies through this program to date. 36 of those programs are still in companies are still in existence. Many of those have received funding from different parts of the organizations that are here in the front row at this point and are successfully building entrepreneurial businesses here in the St. Louis community. The program itself consists of a 10-week course where we bring professionals from the local community to provide lectures about their particular areas of expertise, whether that be legal, intellectual property, accounting, consulting, contract research organizations, contract manufacturing organizations, to speak with the people in the program. So this 10-week course then is associated with mentorship. We have a number of mentors who help those people answer questions, help them get started in business as much as possible during this period of time. In addition, resources and facilities are made available to the people in the course at the Center for Emerging Technologies, including office space, business address, where they can do business, internet, various other business services that we bring to bear for the people in the community. I think it's a great program for people getting started. I had the privilege of joining one of the early startups out of Washington University. It started in 1979, a company called Tripos, a company which would have benefited strongly from this particular service.
Hello, my name is Sarah Spear. I'm Executive Director of Arch Grants. If you're an innovator and you like money, and who doesn't, I want you to keep two things in mind, archgrants.org and October 25th. This year we launched Arch Grants and awarded over $1 million in cash and pro bono services. We're looking to do even more in our second year, next year, and that's where you and wanting money and October 25th come in. We're looking for scalable, high-growth, innovative companies to apply to the Arch Grants program October 25th. We're launching on the same day as Startup Connection, which is another event you can come talk to me about. And we award $50,000 grants. So why do we do this? Well, Arch Grants is committed to St. Louis, and we're here to establish an innovation hub in the St. Louis region. You've already heard about all of the great things going on here in St. Louis, and we're here just to build that entrepreneurial ecosystem. So as Chancellor Wrighton mentioned, 10 of the entrepreneurs who are involved in our program have connections to Washington University as either faculty or alumni. So we have a strong connection with WashU, and we look towards building that partnership. Also, 6 of the 15 companies that we awarded grants to have implications in the bioscience sphere. So that's also something that we look to building on, and I'm appreciative of the partnership we have with all of these resource providers and invite you to apply for an Arch Grant when we start for our next round, October 25th, archgrants.org. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jim Brasunas. I'm the Executive Director of ITEN. We're part of a 501c3 nonprofit organization called Innovate St. Louis, and following me is going to be Phyllis Ellison, who's going to talk about the other operating entity within Innovate St. Louis. I didn't just happen to wander in here off the street, you know, an IT person, you know, losing their way. But we work with companies across the IT spectrum, including organizations that are focused on genomic computation, bioinformatics, as well as electronic health records. We're working with the Helix Center and also with BioSTL to put on an event this fall where we will be focusing on this crossover area between biomedical and IT. So keep an eye out for that. You can go to our website, itenstl.org, and register there. You'll get our newsletter, which will have more information about that event coming up. Meanwhile, we work with over 200 IT startups. We take them through a series of programs from concept development all the way to growth acceleration. We've got, in that final program, we've got 9 companies that have made it that far, and together they've raised now, as of noon today, over $30 million. We just had one of those 9 companies, Norse Corporation, announce an additional $3 million raise. So those companies are doing really well. Most of the companies that are earlier stage and working through our programs. So if you've got an IT-focused company, ITEN's a good place to look for resources and help. And I appreciate your attention. One last thing, I want to put in a shameless plug. October 3rd at the engineering school, in conjunction with Skandalaris and the engineering school, we're presenting an event that includes a movie, Something Ventured. It's about the early stages in Silicon Valley when the venture community was getting founded and people like Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs were doing their early stuff. Keep an eye out for that, October 3rd in the afternoon, and thank you very much for your attention.
Hi, I'm Phyllis Ellison. I'm the Associate Director at Innovate Venture Mentoring Service. We provide team-based mentoring to innovative startup companies. And as compared to some of the other resources that you've heard earlier this evening, we work with really early stage folks. These are startup entrepreneurs, typically solo entrepreneurs and the founding partners, often not ready for funding yet, but trying to figure out how to grow their business from the very earliest stage, reaching the point where they can add resources and reaching the point where they can start to be attractive to investors. We put together 3 to 5 mentors on a team to work with the early stage startups and move them forward. Currently, we have about 130 mentors working with over 75 teams, and we've also assisted about 180 ventures total. We work across a range of industries, including the life sciences, and our ventures have included diagnostics, medical devices, nutraceuticals, and a whole range of different ventures. I am going to put in a very shameless plug for Startup Connection tonight as well. October 25th is going to be a huge event held at the Science Center, and several of the organizations that are here are part of the organizing committee. We encourage you to come out and see what is going on. We have a resource fair that will have over 30 support organizations that you can talk to. We'll also have 50 innovative ventures there to showcase their companies and to be part of a pitch competition. We have over $20,000 in prizes and services that have been pledged so far, and we have more coming in. I will make sure that Beck gets an opportunity to send you the information for that, and I encourage you to attend that night. Thanks.
What, no picture? The one thing that all the previous presenters failed to mention to you is that their real mission is to provide deal flow to Prolog. I am one of 3 partners of a St. Louis-based life science venture capital firm called Prolog. St. Louis-based in that we've raised most of our money from the St. Louis area, and happily we've invested in about we invested in about 36, 37 companies at our Prolog, and more than half of them have been the investments have been based here in St. Louis. So we are certainly St. Louis based. We like to invest in St. Louis whenever we can. We have about $120 million under management in 3 funds. As I said, we've made about 36 investments. We typically are one of the first investors, institutional investors in companies. So we're in the quote-unquote Series A kind of investors. We like to be on boards. We like to help in any way we can. We actually do believe that we're value-added investors. Also to say that when we say life science, it's a very broad definition of life science, all the way from ag to diagnostics, medical technology, and some types of specialty pharma. So we have a very broad definition of life science. We're also, in our recent fund, has actually gotten involved in the interface between information technologies and medicine. We think that's an area that's going to explode over the next few years, and so we want to have some experience in that area to take advantage of it. Thank you.
My name is Andrew Smolik. I'm a senior associate for the Missouri Technology Corporation. The Missouri Technology Corporation is a public-private partnership created by the Missouri General Assembly to promote entrepreneurship within the state of Missouri. We have an economic development mission, as well as we also invest directly into startups, and we provide financial investments in some of these organizations that have talked today, such as Arch Grants, BioGenerator Accelerator Lab, and ITEN. Those are some examples of things that we've invested in to support the entrepreneurial ecosystem within this region in particular. One of the things that we do is that we've created the Idea, Seed, and Venture Capital Fund program that Governor Nixon announced in March of 2011. This program was where we took in excess of $20 million that we will invest in startups directly within the state of Missouri. Since the inception of the IDEA funds, the MTC has seen 160 applications requesting in excess of $107 million in co-investment funds. Our board has authorized 46 projects. 23 of these projects have closed, resulting in over $7 million in capital being deployed directly into startups. We just closed our first quarter of this fiscal year round of funding. Our next round will open October 1st. So October is going to be a busy month for you guys. There will be $350,000 available in our tech launch program for funding. This is our pre-seed stage funding for entrepreneurs. A couple key requirements to keep in mind. We require a one-to-one match of third-party capital to go along with whatever investment we make in the company. And we also require our entrepreneurs to make a commitment to staying within the state of Missouri. Thank you.
All right, so if we could thank all our speakers and Chancellor Wrighton one more time. We will be having a happy hour with light refreshments and some more beer, wine, soda, water, whatever you would like. Right after this, it's going to be just down the hall in the FLTC atrium, so there's plenty of room to network. Hope you'll take advantage of talking to all these speakers, and I know there are many other members of the community that are around to talk to. Just before I let you go, I'm going to tell you two things. First off, next Wednesday, we are going to be doing a training session on how to give a good elevator pitch. So you've just seen how to give an elevator pitch on a resource. We want people to come pitch your idea. I can't stress enough, it doesn't need to be a fully fleshed out idea. It doesn't really even have to be feasible. We want you to get there and practice. It'll be about an hour long, so please join us. It's over here in the FLTC on the second floor. Also, this is going to be our first year of doing an elevator pitch competition, so we're jumping on board with the Skandalaris Center's Idea Bounce series. We'll be, I believe, doing the first that's hosted at the medical campus. We would love it if you could all come up with ideas that you want to pitch. It'll be 2-minute format, and you can pitch your idea at ideabounce.com/BEC. We'll have, I believe, 5 life science or biomedical research judges, and we will be giving out prizes for that. So stay tuned. Plan on October 16th. I know that I'm giving you a lot of dates. We've all given you a lot of dates to remember now. I think that's all I have for now. So you can RSVP for all of our events, the ones I've told you about now, and all the others throughout our year at our website. Thank you again for coming. Join us at the happy hour. That's fine. It's good.